Good evening and welcome to Mindful Live 314. I am your host Nathan Springer. Well, your co-host Nathan Springer. Thank you for being here. The host is currently doing as she pleases, as she usually does. It is the 23rd of November in the year of our Lord 2023. Now, time is closing in on December the 3rd. And December the 3rd is a day that has some weight behind it. Especially if you are a resident of South America, in particular the CARICOM South American country, Guyana. December the 3rd is when Venezuela goes ahead voting to decide if piece of Guyana is piece of Venezuela. Interesting. Nonetheless, once you're inside of the live, make sure you hit that like button. Double tap the screen over there on TikTok if you're wondering how to hit the like button there. On YouTube, hit that like button. Please do. Drop a comment if you have something to say. If you are looking at this on the repeat, please do make sure and hit the like button. Right now is a good time. You take that pause right at the beginning. You hit that like button so that by the end you don't have to worry about that. And if you are not yet subscribed to Nathan Springer over there on YouTube, head over there, subscribe to Nathan Springer as per usual. I don't say this every time, but this is brought to you by Mindful Education. Yes, darling, the educational institution that I run. We offer personalized homeschool style classes, very small, and where you get that more intimate relationship with your teacher. They're able to know you, you're able to know them, you're able to ask more questions. It's homeschool geared in the style that we use. We also offer personalized one-on-one tutoring for most CXC and CAPE subjects. If you're struggling with a CAPE subject or a CXC subject, if you're looking to repeat it, anything of the such, and you want that one-on-one tutoring, well, we offer that. So hit us up wherever. Folks posting that they will give their lives. In Trinidad, the public service is the fourth branch of government, the admin branch, and they are permanent. That's true. On YouTube, no girl, we have not reached the 1,000 subscribers on YouTube yet. It's a fight down. We now reach 965. We're closing in 35 more. Yes, Jason Lewis, I am. Blessings from the island where I pay $26 for one small tin of tuna. Nah, that could never be. That could never be. That must be gold flakes inside of that tuna. It must be gold flakes inside of that tuna. How does that work? No way. No way, no way, no how. It coming with bread, yeah. Well, then that'll make sense. You know, if it comes with not even just the regular whole wheat. You want the what is this one with the multi-grain and the different grains on top of it and stuff? You know, you pay a little extra for that. It must come with that bread. I want the multi-grain bread. If I'm paying $26 for a tuna, it comes with the multi-grain bread and two dollops of mayonnaise one time, so you could make your tuna paste instant. An instant tuna paste. Yeah, I have $26 just for raw for tuna in water. Tuna soaking in water. Nah, man, nah. No, stop it. Woy, Nisi, how do I sign up? Head over to Mindful Education. Oh gosh. And you're smiling now. Head over to Mindful_Education, Mindful with 2 L's, Jason. On Instagram, you can reach us there. Or you could message me. Wherever you see me, message me and I'll send you a number for us. And you'd get that. Last night was some crazy cold weather. Honestly, I don't know, you know. My weather in where I sleep is maintained at a nice whatever degree the air condition says, and I have no idea what outside says. And the dark out curtains make it in such a way that with air condition and dark out curtains, it could be 10 a.m. with hot sun, and you're feeling like, ooh, this is a chilly 3 o'clock in the morning, man. Yes. Hey, but it's Thursday, and we're talking on a Thursday. You know, that's what we do on a Thursday. We talk. what you all have on your mind, any questions or comments, and you know you could jump inside of the live. Yusuf Nasser, thank you for all of those roses, sir. Much appreciated for what it's worth. What's in the news? What's been on your mind of late? Is what going on with Tiantec on Saturday? Bro, you know, reading comprehension is a difficult thing, you know. Reading comprehension is a difficult thing because Tiantec said we have multiple independent power producers. One of them is going to have a shutdown, but the others should be able to cover the missing load. If anything, we'd have to do a bit of load shedding. And all of a sudden, everybody, no current this weekend, you know, it's blackout this weekend, you know, the whole weekend is blackout. And if I recall correctly, it's Saturday night to Sunday morning. It's not even the whole weekend. Like, people, come on. Reading comprehension. Reading comprehension. Come on, man. Read the words, and the words have a meaning. And when you get the meaning of the words and you put them together and you have a sentence, then the sentence has a meaning. And then when you put multiple sentences together, the paragraph will have a meaning. And you get the meaning of the paragraph. The paragraph did not say no current this weekend. No paragraph. The only paragraphs that said that were people who made it up. Trini Hotep, I'm not saying anybody dumb. That's not where I'm going. I'm just saying we could read a little more. We could read a little better. Venezuela going to war with Guyana. I doubt, you know. With all these TikTok videos, I swear it's something big. This was the belief in my house. I will have a word with the deputy. It's a bit of fear-mongering. I am confident a lot of people who said that never read the release. They probably only saw the headline that TGU is going to be shut down this weekend, and oh no current, oh gosh, no, they run with that story. I will not be surprised if most of those people didn't even read out the full release. 1% might be, it's an if. Let me see if I could pull up that, if I could find that release somewhere. I believe in their release they said they would be more than able to cover the makeup. Yeah, it's expected to occur between 10 p.m. on Saturday and 9 a.m. on Sunday. It said the other two IPPs, PowerGen and Contour Global Trinity Power, can and will fill the resulting gap in the electricity grid. That's in the release. PowerGen and Contour Global Trinity Power can and will fill the resulting gap in the electricity grid. Tiantec assures its customers that it will work closely with TGU and its other independent power producers to ensure that in the unlikely event any loss of supply occurs, the disruption will be minimal. I mean, the people told y'all. We could have read this one a little better. We could have read this one a little better. Now, here's the thing. I am not the customer service rep or the public relations officer for Tiantec or anything like that. I am saying what the Tiantec release actually said. If it so happens That's some kind of monkey pants playoff and it really ended up with a blackout over the weekend. Don't say that Nathan said there would be no blackout and look at blackout, he was wrong. I said that the TNTech release said it's not a blackout. Who knows what might happen? You know, there are strange things that happen occasionally. And wasn't it some kind of something that tripped at TGU that caused the whole nationwide blackout because it caused an increase on the load in another one and the other one tripped off something which tripped off something? You all remember something like that? You all remember? Was that the one under Tanticams where something tripped off something which tripped off something? So who knows? But their release said you don't have much cause story. And as someone said, it's a late night shutdown also. Late night is generally the time where you won't have as much load. Well, generally speaking, you wouldn't have as much load on the electricity system, on the circuit as midday. So who knows? She always tripping. Morby San, stop it. A fallen tree, yeah. Why is everything so hush-hush when it comes to TNT Armed Forces? Case in point, the Mayaro incident. Hey, Nemesis. Why is everything so hush-hush? Well, part of that, I would think, Code 42. I think part of that has to do with the nature of how our armed forces were engineered. So, I made a video on this not too long ago. Was the soldier arrested? I don't know. That's the soul. I believe he was arrested. In the story, they said he was charged. He was arrested and charged. I don't know where the case is at now. That's Kevon, the soldier who used an unmarked police vehicle to go and put on a walk. And when the people came to make the report in the police station, what would you know? The bandit, there was an instant ID parade inside of the police station where they were able to identify the perpetrator right there. Yeah, Morby-san, real sketch comedy stuff. But Kurt, our armed forces were created in a different way than many other places. Santos says, hello Nathan, how are you doing? I have a problem. I have not heard you say hierarchy today. Every day isn't about hierarchy, Santos. Every day isn't about hierarchy. But yeah, our police, so like, if our police service organically grew as we organically grew as a nation over the course of several hundred years, then the police would have been engineered as such to work along with the population. But our police were established as a colonial police. Our police have been what they've been for like 400 years. Thank you, Mr. Cool Guy with the shades. They've been what they've been for 400 years. When our police were first established, our police force, pretty much all of our security services, they were established with the intention, with the mission of keeping the peace for the colonial powers. So they didn't have to answer to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And I think to some extent the structures of some of those institutions remained the same, where many of the institutions in Trinidad and Tobago, they're created and they carry about their duties in such a way as if they're the caretakers here, you know. They're here to rule over us. They don't have to answer to us. They answer to someone up in England, not anyone down here. And that's that kind of remnant of colonialism to some extent, in my opinion. Yes, Brandon Gourdine, what does the mustache sign say behind you? Apologies for deviating. Oh, that was from one of our viewers right here. Must be nice. Congratulations to the Mindful family. And musters as in mustache. That's a gift from one of the OGs on the inside here. I wonder if Nisi here. Nice twist. Yeah, thanks, man. Brandon Gourdine, where's your question, bro? What's the question you have there? Very good comment that you made. Consider an institution. I think that there's a need for us to go. Anyone tried Pesh yet? Not me. But I saw them advertising. And I'm not against it. I'm not against it, you know. The whole online money business in the long term, I am very suspicious of, but the convenience you can't deny. You can't deny the convenience of, you could just and pay for. Lovely stuff, lovely stuff. Pesh was the one that people had the conspiracies about, not so? They have an audience. Not me, though. Honestly, I'm for it, but really suspect after the recent hacks. Yeah. I starting to feel like I don't know how many of you have older people in your lives that you do money activities for, money business, money transactions for. Those elderly folks don't play that online business thing. They want hard copy, and I think the old people kind of like they're having a point, Like sometimes you feel like you could take it all out and put it under your mattress and forget about it. What are some key points before choosing a career? Brandon Gurdine asks. Wow, that's a good question. That is a good question. I think the present setup. Recently, Kiara said he never used an ATM. Oh. I think the present setup of education isn't ideal for getting into proper career choice. I don't think that's how it's done perfectly. Find your passion. I could agree with that, Kerma, but I think it's a bit more than that because people say find your passion, but a 16-year-old, I think that's a nebulous statement. Find your passion. Their passion is playing game, and that's why every 16-year-old wants to be a professional gamer. That's what you end up with if you just say find your passion. And I don't think it's just about finding your passion. I think it's about finding something that inspires you or drives you, which is kind of your passion, but you're looking for something a bit more specific, something that you would be willing to delve into hard work for. Because even if you quote unquote, they say do something you love and you'd never work a day in your life, that's not true. You can do something you love and it will be very hard work nonetheless. So it must be something that is in the long run fulfilling enough so that you are willing to do the amount of work that it calls for. Under 20 not fully cooked yet. Granny does say bring the money, come give me in my hand. With the time it would take you to be credentialed, do what you can to make the most amount of money in the end. As you get older, money tends to matter more, especially in your 30s. That's where you talk about how does what you love work. Video games, how are they made? There are 16-year-old millionaires in America. Yes, there are 16-year-old millionaires. Yes, there are gamers who make millions of dollars. But I mean, like, I have students, many of my students who are in their teens, mid-teens, they love games. And what I tell them is go at the game with the same intention. Okay, this is what you enjoy. Well, delve into it deeper. Don't stay at just the fun level. Okay, you want to be a gamer? Well, start to actually get into it. Start to try to do the mods. There are modifications for many of those games. Research the mods. See if you could join a community where you could get into engineering a mod. Or you want to do content. Well, see if you could produce an hour and a half of content every day edited. Not just fun. Something that will draw out discipline in you. And you'd realize that many of the children who talk about gaming and I want to be a gamer, trust me, I produce online content. It's not straightforward, it's not that easy, and it's not all fun. And many of them, you give them a challenging part of the same career that they say they want, and you recognize they run from the challenge. Gonna get a Switch this Christmas. GT Valetzi. Yeah, it's hard work. Everything is work. Everything is work. And if you have in your mind that you're trying to avoid work, especially as a young man, like I Santos, we're going back down some of the line in a kind of way. Like, I regularly talk about these things because I think one of the faults in modern society is we have bought a little too much into the ideas of egalitarianism, where somehow men and women and the differences are erased. I don't think that is true. That's not true. The differences are very much there. And like for a woman, if a woman is going through the typical life that women have gone through since women have been humans on earth, you don't have to go and seek out too much of difficulty. Bearing children is going to bring the difficulty to your doorsteps. But for a man, if you as a man are intent on when you're looking for a career, the thing most prominent to you is you don't want to work hard. You're going to be a boy at 50 still. You're going to run away constantly because everything is going to take some amount of challenging work. That's just the reality of it. Everything is going to take some amount of challenging work. So when it comes to picking careers, like for me, I don't even know if the ideal thing is at 14, a child sits down and ponders and reads a book of a list of different careers and selects one out of those lists. I choose accounting, and then you give them a cadre of subjects for them to do for the next 10 years. I don't even think that's the ideal. I think this should be more of a community-based something, and I know it sounds very idealistic, but more family-based, where, you know, okay, you're heading in a line, the people who are more senior to you, the adults around you, not a 14-year-old child, because many of the times they don't know what they want. The adults around you are able to see, okay, this person is good at this, and they like that. So let's see if we could find an area where what they're good at and what they like can correlate as best as it can and allow them to expand into that area. It's not necessarily like you're heading towards a specific career in that area, but what you're good at and what you like, and we push you as far as you could in that area, and you will find something useful. If you develop yourself becoming useful in things you like, you're good at, and you're good at, inevitably it can be a job. Inevitably. You like playing music, play music enough, it can be a job. Be serious about it enough, it can be a job. It's kind of the way it goes. And people need to understand to take risks. Risk is what generates wealth. Well, that's a fact. That's a fact. Risk is what generates wealth. It's why people who are in safe jobs generally don't become the richest. And it's funny sometimes when you see people don't want to risk it, but still want the biscuit. You have to risk it for the biscuit. The biscuit can't come without the risking it. The reason why we struggle with insecurity is because we compare. Ooh, that's a part of it. That's a part of it. Comparing. And we spoke about this previously when we were talking about the education system. And I think to some extent because of how our education system is engineered, it's made to compare people. And it's made to compare people that probably we shouldn't be comparing. Like previously when someone asked me about what I think would be better in our educational system, and I think we should be stratifying more. So the A plus math students are supposed to go with all the A plus math students and put them in an institution, and then let the A plus math student compare among each other. But when you take A plus math students and F math students and throw them in one school together and then tell them compare among each other, oh gosh, come on. What you expect to happen? It's like, and these things are understood. These things are understood to me with great clarity when you're looking more in the physical side of things. You know, it's funny to me. It's funny to me. So like, many people are cautious. They're very wary to say things like some children might be smarter than some children. Some children may have a higher IQ. Some children will just do better at certain things than others. Some people are, they're a little cautious to say some things like that. But they're not cautious to say that some children are better at football than some. Valetzi, you played in intercal days, didn't you? Isn't it a fact that you could have trained some students from the time they were in Form 1 straight till upper 6 and they would have never made the side because they just didn't have that athleticism? They just don't have that athleticism. And if we think about it on the athletic side, if you think about making football teams, and you place top level footballers with miscoordinated people. There are some people who they don't know how to move their limbs too well and they injure themselves easily, etc., etc., etc. And you put those two on the same team and then compare them. Of course you're going to do a wickedness to the people who aren't as good. Kuban says, I love football with all my heart. I can't raise 3. Bro, I played some football, but one of the most amusing things to me is seeing people who think football is very easy and haven't tried football try to do something in football. Like, you ever heard some of those women who say these men getting paid millions of dollars to run around on a field and kick a ball and those kind of stuff, and you give them a chance to kick a ball? You recognize that you could miss the whole ball. Your foot. You're watching the ball coming towards you, and you could miss the whole ball. Buenos noches, Paul Duncan. I was a dribbling king, but I can't long pass. RL, I done see you was the man getting your partners vexed in the sweat. You was the man getting the team vexed in the sweat. Dribbling king, but you can't make the pass. I seen it already. RL dribble down, far down to the corner. And people calling for the ball. And he kick it and lose it and walking back. And everybody suffering. RL, I seen it already. RL, I seen it already. I could tell. If we ever have a mindful sweat, I am not on RL side. We established that one time. I am the opposing side. That kind of... You're a Cristiano Ronaldo fan, ain't? You're a Cristiano Ronaldo fan, aren't you? You blundered your tips back in high school. At school, I was good at scoring in my own goal. Wow. We need to have mindful. So in the group, and yes, big Cristiano Ronaldo fan. You see, I could tell it when someone say he good at dribbling but not the passing to watch. You know he was taking in all them CR7 videos. He had all the CR7 videos on his phone. Ricky Gervais in school wanted to impress football coach, breathed hard. He was removed. And that's the thing. Like, people are so okay with it on the athletic side. They are so okay with it on the athletic side. You're okay with saying, all right, fine, this person just is not that athletic. I think it's okay on the academic side too, where you don't force people down routes that they aren't suitable for. I think the sporting analogy for education never thought about it. Like, you don't know why I think about it like that. If you want to really get controversial here, good night, Dexter Morgan. If you really want to get controversial here. So, the top land speed records running are generally all Afro men. You look at most of the NBA, they're generally mostly men of African descent. You could possibly make a conclusion that men of African descent seem to have superior physical prowess. So could be racial differences among among athletic achievement. If there are racial differences among athletic achievement, is it possible to have racial differences in academic achievement? And would that be a problem? As I saw Ronnie was saying further up about the affirmative action, etc. Would that be a problem? And that's where that conversation gets real sticky very often. It gets very sticky right there, right at that point, because very few people are willing to delve into that. Yes, cultural differences in classes is a big issue. You see, Santos, the reason it gets sticky is because we aren't even talking fully cultural differences here. Is the reason that there are more people of African descent in the NBA a cultural phenomenon or a genetic phenomenon? And if it might be that there's a genetic component to athletic ability, then might there be a genetic component to academic ability? Good night, Lana Polana. I'm not assuming anything necessarily here, you know, Santos. I'm just putting the idea out there. That's how I came to these ideas in the first place, looking at some of these things. And to me, I think people who deny it, it's more of a personal opinion kind of deny it. You don't want it to be true. But I think it's obviously true personally. I think it's obviously true looking at the evidence as it's laid out before us. And if you understand tidbits of genetics, if you understand a bit of genetics, it seems like, yeah, duh, that would obviously be true. Yes, there would be a nurture, there would obviously be a nurture side to it, but there would be a nature side to it. And I think these things are beneficial to learn of in the holistic sense. France figured out this many centuries ago. Are you talking about the French footballers? And you see, I understand totally the reason many people are worried about diving into too much of this, because sometimes you have to ask, okay, if this is true, what do we do about it? And with the nature of how humans and governments always want to decide what other people should do with their lives and make grand plans for the entire society. With societies as such and countries as such, if you tell people that, well, black people are more athletic and Asian people are smarter, then you could blink two times and for all you know, the societies are such that all black men are forced into the military and all Asian men are forced into think tanks, etc., etc., etc. So, you know, you're worried a bit about pushing too hard on those questions. I could understand that. Yeah, white leather. I was looking at a picture of the first and second place in the math Olympiad through the years, and it was the US and China, and they all look like the same. Yep, curve on, but there's still a ceiling to that increase also. Kurt 42 says careful conversation starting to get deep. Marrying trench deep. Black people run sports globally. Yeah. And if many black people are very okay with saying we run sports globally because they see themselves as being athletically superior, then you shouldn't be offended if someone else says it about an area that they are proficient in. It is said you need more brain power to survive winter. So colder climates may have. I don't know if I buy that 100%. I think I always say this. I like biology, I like genetics. I think the middle passage was a bit of eugenics. I don't know how many of us know what eugenics is. Eugenics, where you're aiming to breed a favorable population to get a favorable ending. I think the middle passage was a bit of eugenics. Because the people who are generally top of the athletic world of African descent, but generally are not from Africa. Interestingly enough, those things get very interesting. They get very interesting. Chinese and Japanese could see they run engineering. I disagree. Brain adapts, so does human biometeorological system. You haven't traveled much in life, you should try it. Why do you say that, Andre Jaboom? Why do you say that? Brain adapts to what exactly, Santos? I don't know where that was talking about. Kermack, I saw they were asking for more money. Yes, I saw they were asking for more money over there at the PCA. But I mean, everyone wants a Prado. Prado is the vehicle in Trinidad. Thermal adaptation. Oh, you're talking about the coldness. Yeah, I don't think it's a cold and hot issue either. If there are those differences, so it's how you get differences anywhere in genetics. It's how you get differences anywhere in genetics. Over a period of time, the environment favors a certain group of genes, and those without that group of genes tend not to thrive in that environment, so you have less of them. We wrote a paper about this in Olympics in Qatar with the heat. Very interesting. PCA is asking for more money, Ronnie Cakes. The Police Complaints Authority. It is. Oh, you mean because I said I don't agree that the cold climate thing would have an effect on genetics? That means I didn't travel more? Okay. Some part of Indonesia, it have persons who can hold their breath for 15 minutes. Yes, the deep sea divers. I've read that. And some of them actually, I was reading a paper for those of you interested in this kind of stuff. I was reading a paper where they were talking about those divers, and some of the results they got from those divers are it's shaking up some of what we are supposed to know about evolution and changes genetically. Where someone was talking about this, where they were talking about predisposition, etc., and where it might be that some genes are activated or deactivated accordingly, and because of that activation, deactivation, etc., it could cause a more directional evolution. I can't remember the exact nature of the paper, but there was an increasing amount of evidence that points to the fact that evolution seems to have pointed in a direction during some time. So the whole random evolution idea, it's changing. I love biology. Some interesting stuff. People in Bolivia have greater lung capacity. All those people, and when they want to play in a football match, they carry on top of the mountain to play. Of course, you must lose to them. Those divers probably have poor immune systems because of isolation I don't know. I don't think they were that isolated anyway. I have been in the cold for more than 20 years now, became super smart. Now I am back, I am so dumb. I am immune to my mother-in-law, but that was social. It is said winter is less forgiving, so you need to think more to survive, unlike the tropics. I agree, and I agree on the societal side. On a societal side, you have to plan more if you're living in a temperate country. You can't always go. And Thomas, Dr. Sowell regularly talks about these things: geographical differences, climate differences, and the differences you see in cultures with people because of those differences. And I 100% agree with that. You have cultural differences depending on different climates, depending on different geographies, and those cultural differences, you would see a long-term result in that after a couple centuries, or according to how long the cultures remain separated. 100% agreed. I don't disagree with that, but I don't know if that's the reason for an IQ difference. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if that's the reason. There are very few developed countries in the tropics, and how many of those developed countries in the tropics were developed because they were first developed by the colonial powers? I know some of that talk has brought a lot of controversy recently, where some people were talking about the benefits of colonialism, and some people were very angry about even mentioning those things. How dare you speak about benefits when talking about the oppressive, racist, white supremacist, Eurocentric thing that colonialism was? And okay. But I mean, at some point in time, you have to mature past just petty anger and look at things realistically and ask yourself hard questions. Is there an IQ difference between the races? Most studies say yes. Most studies say yes. Now, where you get the problem is the why. Is it a cultural difference? Is it an environmental difference? Also, bear in mind, the IQ test in and of itself is crafted. So some people theorize that it's crafted in a way that certain people benefit more. It's an argument. What is the difference? I don't know the difference offhand, but if I recall, I don't even know if I should be mentioning these stuff. But if I recall, I think it was like Ashkenazi pretty high up, then East Asian, Southeast, no, European. All I know is Afro is pretty far down on the near end. And some people theorize that lower IQ increases violent tendencies, and you can see why those arguments come up in the race conversation also. There were benefits to colonialism in Nigeria. The parts colonized are way better off than the not occupied by the British. Well, you see, curve on. That conversation, some people are not ready for it. Why do you say that, Nathan? Why do I say what? Why do I say what? The violence and IQ? That's not a me statement. That's not a me statement. There is, or African IQ. Again, that's not a me statement. They have done IQ tests for a long time now. They have the results of those IQ tests. The results of those IQ tests can be read. That is false, but it's not, Kermack. How is it false? Africans top in every field. Did you get that from Afrocentric.net? I am not saying, in case you haven't noticed, I am of Afro descent. I am not saying this to insult Africans. I am saying this because I read this stuff. The studies have been done. Like, I don't even understand. It annoys me. To be honest, Kermack, this annoys me. I don't understand why so many people fight some of this stuff when it's plainly true. Go to the schools. Look at the top performing schools. Look at the worst performing schools. All right, that's the media playing dirty tricks. So it's never anything actually wrong. It's always some outsider trying to trick you. Okay, well, stay dumb. You see, if you're unable to diagnose the problem, if you're unable to see that there's a problem, then you're unable to diagnose the problem, and obviously you'd be unable to fix the problem. You have these certain communities, children being born constantly popping out by themselves with their mother alone. And instead of looking at the problem and seeing there's a problem there, we need to try to fix this. No, it's not a problem. No, it's not a problem. It's just the outsiders, the media trying to make you look bad. No, it's genuinely bad. We top every field, true or false? False. Who are the top CEOs for the top financial companies? Who are the top CEOs for the top technological companies? Who have the most Nobel Peace Prizes in science? Who are like, come on, man! Like these things can be seen. Well, you could join, Krimak. Of course you could join. Of course you could join. You know I don't mind that. These things can be seen. Go look at a list of the top CEOs. Go look at it. No, there's a list of Nobel Peace Prize winners in physics, in chemistry, in biology, in mathematics, etc., etc., etc. You could go and look at these things. Who are the top inventors? I have looked at one of those videos where a very pro-black person said that actually this invention was a black man, and actually this invention was a black man, and actually this invention was a black man. And I am ashamed of those things. I hate it. I wish nobody would create those things. Don't try to encourage our black brothers with those nonsense. Because all you do is you cause people to come and debunk it and make us all look like fools, begging for a little piece of global publicity. We was kangs. You ever saw that meme? Go search the internet for we was kangs and see why that is a meme. My mother-in-law my mother-in-law invented a curious way to keep my father unhappy. Lol. Kremak, I am not saying that Afros never gave anything to the world. I am not saying that African people aren't smart. I'm not saying that they are not African inventors. I'm not saying that they are not African geniuses. That is why these conversations get so testy and difficult. Like, why is that so hard to understand? Okay, black people generally dominate in athletic sports. Does that mean that no white basketballer exists? Or that white men can't jump? Or white men can't play basketball? No, it's not true. But Kremak, that is not true. It is not true, Kremak. We top in almost every field. That is not true, Kremak. It is not. That's just the reality. It is not true. And it's kind of amazing to me, some of these things. Some of the same people that say that at the same time, black people are the best at everything and topping everything. At the same time, they say the world is fighting down black people, and that is why you don't see we prospering, because the world, the system keeping down the black man. Name me feel that we did top in sports, generally speaking. Sports is the prominent field that you see it happening. Music, you see prominently in music. There are many Afro engineers, there are many Afro doctors, but they aren't generally the top in those fields. Reality. And maybe we could try to dig in to find out why that might be. But it is. Name a field we didn't top in, and I will prove you wrong. Okay, chemistry. Prove me wrong. I think they're saying nope to the acting, that Africans are on top of acting. They're on top of the chemistry field, Kermac. They're on top of tech. Which tech giant is an African company? Which tech giant is African owned? Which tech giant is African run? Which piece of modern technology was invented by Africans? And Kermac, it's nearly feeling like you're making me have to try to insult Africans to try and prove this point. You're by fighting an obvious point here. It's not an insult, but it's reality. I don't understand it. And like for me, I always say this. If I am a man of African descent, there are all kinds of mix inside here, but mostly of African descent. If it be that there is, I've said this before and I will say it again. If it be that there is some genetic dunciness to the African gene, if that be true, it is not true. I don't think it is. But if it were, would you prefer, as someone with the Duncy African gene, to know about it, to try and find a way to work around it, or to just stay in ignorant oblivion? Or obliviousness, rather. I would rather know. Like, all the racist theories they have, tell them all to me. I'm getting a little lost here. All right. Bliss is the word you're looking for. Any further questions, people? We could change the topic. No problem with that. Any other questions or comments? I noticed the guy said name a field. I named a field and he didn't come back. Maybe he's researching that field still. Or is this him? No, it's Ronnie. Yo, Ronnie Cakes, with my cake. Is Elon Musk white or is he changing? I'm pretty sure Elon was always white. Well, technically he is an African American, eh?
He's African.
He's an African American. So maybe we could claim Elon.
I put X in the chat because he's African.
It's not an argument to me.
Just be before actually who come up. Yeah, just a good part. You were saying, like the genetic thing and whatever. And if we could agree, like is what make us like dominating sports or whatever. Why is it a problem that probably we should consider the likelihood that probably there is some genetic something that is hindering us from really, being the best academically? Because I mean, is that far-fetched to believe?
And you see, here how these things work when you're talking statistics versus individual. A statistical difference doesn't say anything for the individual. So if the average IQ of group A is 105 and the average IQ of group B is 100, that's an average. An individual in group A could be of IQ 90 and an individual in group B could be of IQ 150. It's kind of irrelevant when it comes to the person. And this is where you need that difference in understanding, okay, there could be group dynamics in understanding groups and understanding group differences, but that's not to say that you should treat individuals differently. Now, where understanding the group differences could come in is you could understand, okay, so if I look across a nation and I look at the passes in a specific subject, and I see one subject has more people of a specific group than the other, I don't necessarily say that this is because some kind of bad thing happened there. It could just be an authentic difference. I don't have to try and cheat the system to force it to be equal in every aspect, because I understand there are differences between the people.
Correct, which is where which is why I so against the affirmative action, right? I understand, and there are very bright African people, and I believe that those people need to get there on their own merit, right? Great, but there is no affirmative action in anything else. Why are there Asians fighting for a chance to be in the NBA? They make a lot of money in the NBA. Like, when you tell Asians, just be like, yo, I want to be token Asian person in the NBA. Pay me to be there. Like, nobody else does it. So why are we fighting in that regard? Thereby, and when you look at the results of these things in the affirmative action, to go to like Ivy League school and something like that, you performing at a worse level than everybody else. I'm facing all people that make so much high marks. That kind of unfair. It's unfair to you and it's unfair to them.
And it's unfair to the system. It's unfair to the society. In society, wouldn't we want the people most suitable to be engineers? It's like it's the same equity argument that some of those women in sports argue about. Why don't we make the same amount of money as the men? Because you're not as good. That's why. And
because you don't make as much money either. Like,
and that's why this is what I'm saying. You don't want, what you don't want is, I don't want it to be that we force the Lakers to have to take two women on their side. So the side is five-a-side, and you always have to have two women on the court to make it equal. No, well then the sport wouldn't be as entertaining. We wouldn't get the best. And that's what I think getting the best in each field is the smartest idea. Nathan, got to ask you a question before I go to sleep, giving class in 5 hours, but it is off topic. Ask away, Santos. Basic gauge. If your date can't work out 10% of the bill, go no further.
Wow.
I mean, if you're okay with that, and I saw Krima came back with the black guy who was at the top in chemistry, and I mean the Percy guy was well known in chemistry. He synthesized a couple hormones. Yes, I did enjoy it, Santos. I did, and I have the second book too.
So you make your bed every day.
I've I will say it. I'm going brave. I have a wife for that.
Okay,
Whew. But yeah, the black guy. Good night, Santos. The black guy, he was at the top, and I'm taking nothing away from him. But Kremak, if you're still there, you searched a while to find the one black guy who had some input in chemistry. Go look at the Jewish Nobel laureates in chemistry. See how many there are. Like, it's not a fight needed to win. You don't need to win that fight. It's okay. Somebody has to have more. It just so happens it's not you. Okay? We have more quick twitch muscle fibers. Okay? There's like, why argue? Why fight a difference that is there? Work with the difference, try and get the best out of it, but don't fight the reality of it. I'm seeing that property tax was a means to keep the poor without land. Is that so, Sylvan? How so? How so? How would the property tax avoid the poor from getting from acquiring land? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I see it.
I definitely don't see it because how the last part of the whole thing. This company, I was watching a video today, just on Kumar. I was watching a video today, and it was the oil company or something like that. I can't remember what interview. It was between Jordan Peterson and this lady, and she was like, "Oh, this company, they were going bankrupt, and the owner of the company was so dedicated to equality. He wanted 50% women, 50% men." And I was just like, and that's why you're bankrupt. That's why you're bankrupt. Jordan Peterson, you know, he always doing it. Like, obviously, and he made a very good point. If you are looking for 50% men, 50% women, that would just mean that you're looking for any amount of women to be 50%. It don't even have to be the best, because just being that you have to be a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really going to include the end product of your company. So why not just take the best? And if a woman happens to be in the best, you take her too. But like to say I'm looking for 10 women just because I'm hiring 20 people, it's good for your company.
Correct.
Anyway, bye, Kremak.
Yeah, Kremak.
You told me about the chemist, and I give you a person, I give you Percy Julian.
Yes, but he isn't the top of chemistry field, and that's one person. How many Africans are there as the global population? How many Jews are there as a percent of the global population?
That was not my argument. I said that every field that was in the world, we top it, no matter what, we would have reached at the top at some point. And then it was swindle, it was was not how is it? Was not publicized.
Well,
You know, I talk about Einstein, right? You was that people was just as smart as them was Africans.
I don't know about that, Kremak. Kremak, I think some people don't understand. Some people don't understand why Einstein is in the place he is. They don't understand why Newton is in the place he is, because they don't understand science, and they don't understand the building blocks of science and how important these men's discoveries were to the very science that we are using right now. Now, if you're saying that African people have reached the top of every arena, I'm not denying that. That has never been a statement that I'm saying that somehow Africans are incapable of excelling in every field. That's not at all, not even remotely what I was saying. Not even close. So if that's the impression you had, that's not it. That's not the point. That's not the idea. That's not the argument. That's not the theory that I was putting forward. All I was saying is that as results of studies go, it seems to say in the academic field, generally, there's lower performance among Africans compared to others. Just as there's higher performance in the athletic field. And if we don't deny that there's higher performance in the athletic field, why deny that there's lower in the other?
The reason why this is my theory, this is my opinion,
Yeah.
perspective on that. The reason why Africa is more dominated athletic fields because they allow them to. Because at the end of the day, who own the teams? So this one want this team to rise to the top or to be the best. So hey, Africans more skilled than other races, most other races. So Africans more skilled in this football. So I want my team to be the top. So let me pick people from this Brazil. You understand? Top African players from other countries, third world countries, and bring them over. But I want my team to win. Basketball, anything, every field that is athletic running. I want somebody to come and represent my country. Let them be Africans. I want somebody to represent my country. Let them be Africans.
Right.
From another country that have dual citizenship, take them and let them, because why? We get recognition because we represented who are we representing from the background? Who getting more money?
Yes.
But when somebody's academic now, that person is more, he getting recognized on his own. He getting recognized, he benefiting. And that is why it is about more struggle for Africans to dominate or to reach out in the academic field.
Two things on that. First up, on the first piece of it, I don't disagree that other people may get the benefit out of it. That's not what I'm saying. You're exactly as Sylvan said, you're kind of proving my point. Why would they want these people to come to their athletic sides? Because these people are better at it. And if you're admitting that there is something within their genetics that makes them better at it, you're admitting that genetics could make people of varying levels of talent at different areas and spheres in life. If you can admit that people can genetically have varying levels of talent at different spheres of life, why is it so hard to see it in the academic sphere of life? And you said that people in sports, it's the company benefiting, but in academic, it's the individual. I don't think so. In the academic field, it's nearly the same, you know. Look at the owners of most companies, the top of companies, and the people who reach the top of the academic field, you know. Bill Gates dropped out of college and hired to work for him all the people who finished all till their PhDs. They are working for him. So I don't buy that somehow the academic arena is going to make it somehow different, that you're going to be more independent. I think that's not true. Many of those sportsmen were able...
What they're saying, the person might be making the money. Bill Gates might be making the money. But who is the person behind the scene working on the creations and the inventions and the laptops and the tablets and the phones? Who is the person behind it?
A Chinese child.
And parents get recognition for it.
A Chinese child.
This person X amount of money.
A Chinese child. That's who's behind it. And you could go research. You could go research who did the technological innovation side. These things are known. Like, it's not true that there's a hidden agenda in the world to hide all black academic achievement. That's not true. That's just not the fact. It's not. There are many brilliant African people in the world that are recognized for their brilliance, but no, it's not a concerted effort that somehow every other race in the world has a special disliking for these melanated people. You see that melanin, something about it is just me. I don't like them at all. So any person with a little melanin in their skin that comes up with an invention, we're going to make sure they never get recognized. Like, that's a heavy conspiracy to believe. Good night, Rose Petal, Angel, Nick. Neil deGrasse Tyson, good point. Yes, no one can deny that Neil deGrasse Tyson is indeed a brilliant man. He's from the arena of physics. Indeed brilliant. I mean, some might argue how brilliant in certain arenas, but in astrophysics, he's a very intelligent man and he can break things down really well. He's good at teaching, he's good at explaining concepts. No doubt in that. America gives a lot of recognition, I think, more than the rest actually. Yeah, sometimes they overdo some of the recognition. Yeah, he fumbled COVID. Among other things, Mobi-san, among other things. And I heard an interview with him and Bill Mayer, which kind of explained why he fumbled some of those things, and he was explaining how certain things he can't say because it will upset his children and stuff, and that makes sense. If your children are part of some kind of overwoke cultish group, of course you could only say certain things, so your intelligence gets bought out, as it were, or pressured by political expediency. Yeah, any further comments or questions, people? It's a Thursday. Yeah, Krim. Yeah, who tell? What's that?
And most times, environment are crucial with an integral part in playing in the intelligence of a child.
True.
So
True.
We, Africans, really was most of them we are at a disadvantage because most of us live in at-risk communities. The environment is not one of a learning atmosphere. Our parents might not have the money to send us to the best preschools and these things. Our parents don't have the money to pay for us to go to certain schools to get the opportunity like other persons. So these things we have to take in consideration because I'm telling you, I would have interacted with certain persons and they have 9 passes, 12 passes, and lack of opportunity have them where they are. Mm-hmm. So when you watch this strain theory, the strain have them doing whatever, and that is the culture there. So where we like to point our fingers and say, hey, that person is that criminal and that person, they're very intelligent.
I don't doubt that at all. Not at all.
Well, to a degree in Trinidad and Tobago, I think we have a wealth of opportunities. And in Trinidad and Tobago, we don't need money per se to go to a school, a good school. Even you don't need money to even go to get a degree. Well, a few years ago. So in Trinidad and Tobago, I think lack of opportunity is really like not that big.
You watching the individual alone. Remember, the individual have a family. The individual he would have come from somewhere. So you just going to school, you still have to eat. You still have things, basic necessities. Where you go get the money from, his parents can't do that. So even though maybe he pressure through and he push through secondary school, that doesn't mean that he goes straight up to UB. Because he had to provide for himself.
Here's a reality, Krimak. I take what you're saying. I take what you're saying. And there is an environmental factor in there without a doubt. But I think we need to ask questions too. Why do certain people create certain environments? And please don't let all the answers always be that some outside group is always at fault. Listen to this. During the 1960s, one neighborhood in San Francisco had the lowest income, the highest unemployment rate, the highest proportion of families with incomes under $4,000 a year, the least educational attainment, the highest tuberculosis rate, and the highest proportion of substandard housing. That neighborhood was called Chinatown. Yet, in 1965, there were only 5 persons of Chinese ancestry committed to prison in the entire state of California. Y'all are understanding what I'm saying there? It's not lack. It's not just the environment isn't ideal. It's not just that. Because They were in, by all metrics, the worst community there. And if you want to talk about racism, they didn't like the Chinese, the Chinks. I wonder if I could say that on YouTube. They didn't like them either. They didn't like them either. So it's not just the racism, it's not just the poverty, it's not just the lack of houses, it's not just the least educational attainment, because this is all they had too. It's not just the disease, it's not the no work. They had all of that. And somehow in the whole state, 5 in prison. 5! But maybe it's just racism. It's all racism. It's because people out there just don't like black people. That's why.
But why you go quite America? Let us, we live in Trinidad and Tobago. And I don't like to talk about other countries. Let us use our country as an example.
Let me tell you why I use Crimac. Crimac, you will get I'll let you finish your point, but I'll tell you why I use the United States. Because we don't have these studies and these statistics. That's why I almost always say the reason I so often quote the United States is because they have the statistics. They actually did the studies. We don't do these studies here in Trinidad and Tobago. I remember when the pundit was making his statement about the urban youths down there in Barataria or El Socorro. He did a FOIA request to find out the racial composition of the people committing the crimes and the victims. And they didn't have that information, allegedly. So that's why if I have to talk about that, I have to use the US.
Yeah, but you have to remember also the Chinese population is not as high as the Africans. And even though the Chinese population may be impoverished in a bad state, you have to realize that they still, how to say, will be held at a higher standard than Negroes. And
why?
That's why they're watching the do.
Why?
Population is greater. So the sample size, you can't use the sample size and 5% of them in prison.
No, just 5.
Not 5%. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.
But even though, five of them, but even though the percentage of the whole population, how much are Chinese? So that 5% can be, if you calculate it per capita, might be very high.
No, the 5, no, but Crimac, they have the calculation per capita. Per capita, even to this day, the Asians don't even show up on the crime statistics oftentimes. They don't even show up. While a certain group is 14% and commits something like 52% or 53%. Why?
But you would like to use Trinidad and Tobago, right?
And no.
Because in Trinidad and Tobago, the opportunities are vastly much more available to people than in America, because we have everything for free. You know, like they still have to pay for certain things. We have it for free. So the opportunity, the lack of opportunity in Trinidad and Tobago is not, as I say, it's very like small, minute. With the reasoning for not having something or not being able to develop it, the lack of opportunity can be like 0.01% of the reason why you didn't get it. It really should be small, because you have the opportunity to go to school, you have the opportunity, even if you know you're or whatever, it have free school lunch, it have the free transportation to school. The only thing about getting free is uniform and go to a degree.
And you could get that.
And you could, somebody will get it. But it's not me. I buy school books and I have no child. Understand? So it have opportunities out there. Of course, things like hunting this rampant in the country. But at the end of the day, the opportunities are there. It might have one or two issues, but trust me, so not to be was in a way better position than some of these shiny people that they're talking about in that statistic.
Yeah. Andre Jaboom, like, do you honestly believe the the main reason there's an over representation of Africans in prison is all profiling? Just because the police racist, you honestly believe that? And okay, you say in the US that's the case. What's the reason in Jamaica or in Trinidad or in England or nearly everywhere else? Like I think personally, my personal opinion, I think the reason we see so often the cultural rot in that community is because of this. Is because there are so many people within the community all too willing to excuse it. How about Russia? I am willing to wager, Andre Jaboom, I am willing to wager, if you find these statistics of Russia, they may be overrepresented as a percentage because it happens nearly anywhere in the world.
Let me talk about environmental factors. It don't speak about only the impoverished areas that we're living in, where we live in now. It talk about families encouraging you to further your education. It speaks about how much exposure you have to negative things. Environmental factors don't only deal with the way you live now. Environmental factors is if it's more negative, you're going to have a negative person.
Well, then you're talking cultural. You're talking about the cultural. You're talking about the cultural environment there, Krimak.
But if I am in a position and nobody telling me, you can go UE or John Doe, you can go and do this here and then end up here and show them a guide, show them a map guide. All this is environmental factors.
Well,
and these are the things that we're not taking into consideration in our impoverished area where is African populated. It hardly have those persons to encourage those persons. It is small. And even though it has so much negative things, that person don't make it because when they start to go to school, you have to work because your mother in your backyard, in your backyard, you go and rent, you have to pay for food.
Yep.
These things are the things that is against you more than it for you. It's easy to say that, it's very simple to say, person will go and get a bus to go to school and this. But if you never came from a family that encouraging you, you would not go down that road.
I agree with.
Parents tell us is that they get 7 passes, look for government work.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you there, Krimak. What you're saying, I agree. The only difference in that is I wouldn't have called that environmental. I would have called that cultural. And what I am saying is that I think that exactly is the problem. The cultural environment in the community is toxic, and it's not the fault of systemic racism, it's not the fault of white supremacy or anything. It's the fault of many people in the community that willing to only say systemic racism. Andre Jaboom, you are toxifying the community by helping excuse them by saying the reason it's bad is systemic racism. No, that's not why. That's not why. The reason is just as Krimak is saying there. Within the culture, people aren't doing the positive things. That's why. People aren't doing the positive things within the culture.
To be fair, systemic racism, it exists because if I go for a loan to buy a car, listen to me, I go for a loan to buy a car, vehicle. Say the vehicle is $60,000, $100,000. I get in that loan, I'm taking 10 years to pay off that loan. And boom, the bank gave me that. But if I go to them and tell them I want 30,000 to go open a business, Nathan, am I going to get that loan?
According to your business plan.
You're wicked, Nathan, you're wicked.
Yes! You according to your business plan. Andre Jaboom, if you have a point, say a point. The idea that somehow because maybe you travel to 2 countries, you think that somehow that gave you some revelation, be gone with that nonsense. You are toxifying your community by excusing them. You have no idea about my experiences either. You are toxifying your community by continually excusing them. Stop excusing the negatives in your community. There are certain communities where you look and constantly, there's always an excuse when they do bad. They always have an excuse. Well, this was so, and you had to understand, and the system, and the systemic this, and the systemic that. You look in certain communities, and once a person does bad in that community, they kick them out of the community. They don't want them there anymore. That attitude is not allowed in the community. You need to change your community like that. Stop excusing these people. No, not police again positive.
Why is it only in highly African populated places? All the negative things all the negative entertainment and shops get set up. Like for instance, if you already watch where all the roulette machines are, it's more in impoverished areas. I don't want to target like it's only Africans, but in impoverished areas. You understand? Because and then when I ask them, the same people that in these set up shop and these things are taking, the persons buying. And when I ask them to do something like a project or a project you want to do, they want to start something up, they go to them for funding. They never want to fund. So they come and taking from the communities and them. But
they're taking, the communities giving them. You know what? No, that's not systemic racism. That's not systemic racism. It's like saying because let me finish my point. Let me finish what I think. It's like saying because fentanyl is ripping apart some poor white communities, that's systemic racism against the whites. No. Listen, the reason those people go in those communities is because those communities they make the most money in. That's the reason they are there. If they made more money in another community, they would go there. It's like, I don't understand how people at the same time say all of these people are money hungry, greedy, just money hungry, greedy people, but yet say they're only doing this because they don't like this group. No, they're doing it for the money. And if this group stopped giving them the money, if they had a hold of their culture enough that they didn't give them the money, then it would not have been a worry.
Correct. You would only go where they will make money, right? If all of these places that you have, and all of these negative things that happen in the predominantly black communities, it says something about the community itself. It means that they are also partaking in all of these negative things, because if it weren't so, they would have no need to put them there.
Yes, and as you said, this systemic racism thing again, RL, that it exists everywhere. And yes, racism is a common human trait people have in group biases. But here's the interesting thing, and I urge you all with the systemic racism thinking, go read Dr. Thomas Sowell. Read as much of him as possible. The guy, Jaboom, who's talking about traveling the world. He has written many books about just what you're talking about, travel. So maybe get one of his books, read it, and then travel with that knowledge looking around. And he has shown that in many places in the world, when a group were actually systemically oppressed, usually what happens, they excel. If that be the case, very often systemic oppression of a group, unless it goes down the side of murdering, usually causes that group to become insular. They turn inward and they end up excelling more. Indians in Kenya, Chinese. Yeah. Yes, Sylvan.
We're gonna make a point on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a partner of mine. Some years ago, he wanted to buy a building at the corner of Bath and Piccadilly Street to start a joint enterprise with him and some other associates. And I'm not going to call the bank. And when he went to the bank, the loan officer told him to do not give business loans on that side of the dry river. So that is a point on the criminal side and whoever put in systemic racism. The other point is, yeah, but we in charge of the system though. For the majority.
That's always your point, Sylvan.
oil boom after oil boom. And in one instance, we was in charge of the treasury for 30 years straight. You know what I mean? So when you say the system fighting you, is it us fighting us? I really don't understand it. So I just wanted to plug that. They go ahead.
Nice point. Nice points.
Mm-hmm. Two things what Sylvan say, I want to answer him. One, answer the Sylvan first. Oh, sure, sorry. Yeah. Sylvan think about the people that was in charge of the treasury. Were they really in charge of the treasury? Who are the person that's holding the business? Field, the whole conglomerate. You understand? Who holding that down? So even though that the government might be, somebody might be, certain particular people might be in government, at the end of the day, they still have to take time in from the business people, the investors. That is one. Secondly, what my point was, when I watched the strain theory, right? The strain theory, the strain theory speak about, the strain theory talk about people in a certain group that are not strain. So certain things will look pleasing to them. Like for instance, the gambling. Somebody on the street, they need to get money. They my last $100. I need to get $400. Let me go and see if I can multiply this. You might say it is stupid, but the temptation, they set up in the communities knowing that hey, this person will take a risk because they're on the street. It's like an impoverished community. They might not have high education, poverty there, lack of opportunity to move up and pick up good jobs. These things. That is what is going on. So they take how to say it, boy, they take advantage of the person's situation and use it against them. And that is the strain theory that will cause people, the strain theory will cause people to take risks in these things. So you can't say it's a system. And that is what we are trying to get across here. Not just like somebody said, I can refuse this and stand strong. Not everybody had that willpower. That's why have some of them out in the concrete, a flower will grow. But majority will fall victim. And that is the issue. Watching that really show, we're not talking about the same opportunity. We might have a good parent, you might have a good supportive family, some persons, and still they just fall victim. So that is how we have to watch it today. Just can't say it's one factor, it's so much different political factors. The big persons fall on the wayside, they fall victim, they get caught up in the web. You understand? Look how simple this is. Look how many times marijuana was a big issue. All 10 years ago, marijuana this, marijuana bad thing. And because persons now start to smoke marijuana, a certain class of persons start to smoke marijuana, boom, let's criminalize it. Let's decriminalize it now. It puts it straight on the legal system, and it's giving officers too much work and all kind of things. So if you're just watching something in one direction, you will never see the negatives. You will always see the surface. You will never see the iceberg on the bottom. And that is what Chinbekudas love to do. Oh, everybody's smoking weed. When they watch it, everybody getting zombified. Everybody is zombies, so nobody thinking now independently now. Everybody's zombified, so they can do anything. And you know what? I must smoke a weed and cool myself and meditate. And this time you're just getting more dumb. You're getting dumb now.
Just on a side note, to anyone who may know, not saying anyone is bound to know inside of the chat, do officers get regular drug tests for like THC and stuff, or is it possible that many officers could be on the moon doing their duty and thing with this? Because that is a point you said there. Now, answer me first. Yeah, answer.
Because it's decriminalized, officer is a citizen as well. So if citizens could use a job, then officer is a citizen. Now, as being intoxicated while it's on duty, now I mean, police are just guessing.
Yeah.
Right? For being intoxicated, there is a different color because there's rules and regulations governing that.
But how do you test? And we don't have a marijuana intoxication test?
Not to my knowledge. Not in Trinidad and Tobago. It may have abroad, but not to my knowledge. So what you normally do is take an intrusive test, like a blood sample, and the way our laws is structured, you have to have your consent presently to take that blood sample, which is why it is a condition of employment where you would alcohol.
Because it's not illegal. And if there are no tests, how would you know if someone is...
Our test, the guy was correct.
Yes, a blood test. But here's the thing with the blood test. The blood test tests for THC in your blood, and THC remains in your blood about 3... It's a while. I don't know the exact time, but it's a while. So there's no blood test you could do to see if someone is presently intoxicated. The blood test shows if they ingested the substance at some point in time in the recent past. So there is no test to show current intoxication. I'm not saying that the police are. It was just a thought. Now, on what Sylvan was saying, just to...
I say intoxication under the influence of drug or drink. So that is different with it. So if I got somebody assuming of the belief that hey, you under drink, it had the breathalyzer, and for alcohol, then we had to do a toxicology by the hospital. Where they might just say THC, the amount of THC they might detect. That is, it have levels they can detect.
That's true.
So they will know that they're right. That's actually not about how long ago, because you will have a small trace of it. They will say that you may smoke sometime recently, but if it grew high, like say 40%, then right, we said that between today and tomorrow, so they could assume now that he was under the influence of drug, right on duty. So that's the only the only breach that in the regulations that they have. They never speak about you being drunk out of that or out.
Understood.
I know that I'm a citizen, decriminalize it. Why can I not?
True.
It's a vice. Just like alcohol. Like somebody else is a vice. What's on duty?
I remember I watched an episode with Blue Bloods, a police show I was watching a while back, and they raised that point. It was decriminalized in another state, not in this state, and a police went in that state, and he was making the point, if I was on vacation and I had a glass of scotch, nobody would have been upset. Now I had a smoke, that's a problem. Those are some interesting arguments. But to Sylvan's point about the bank talking about that side of the Dry River, yes, that is systemic bias. But do you blame them totally? Would you make an investment on that side of the Dry River just like that? Would you stop to give assistance to an ailing puppy on that side of the Dry River? We did a story about that.
No. Why a jump out to me? By that patent. No, but what I say, why jump out to me? They didn't start any KYC or any know your customer. Or like I'm attracted to your credit history. If you would have, if you or any of the persons in your group would have a good credit rating, whether you owe a phone bill or whatever, it's like, good day, my name is, my friend name is, and our plan is, and where is this property located? Nah, we don't have a person that's so, I mean, they're so cool and they're so confident, these was, and I was like, amazing. But, I mean, there is, where's the government program for small and medium business enterprises, and they do give you grants and that kind of thing.
Nedco.
So I am saying, as far as systemic, alright, well, that is the bank, but there are other means of securing things. So I don't know how systemic this system is. How systemically racial this system is. I don't know. I can't say.
Like talk about this bank thing. I'm a lender. I can understand, right? Because most people will not go and indulge in any business on that side of the river unless you live there on the drive. I don't know where the place is. So they will look at it. Students would not be able to pay their loan back. So it don't make sense to even lend any money. You're more than likely you're going to lose it. And then for them, it wouldn't make sense for them to reclaim or to try and take over whatever it is your friend set up, because
Really?
not
running a certain element, a certain criminal element. When the government say they go uplift for the Spain, right? And east side, a certain element, a criminal element, try to buy a property there, try to run people and buy property, or buy the property there. Or that's because this thing they're going to bad and going on there, owned by a certain element. And I said, I will call the first name, it's at an S. You understand? So,
Well, I don't know any element and I did that. Who enter any of your elemental talk?
I did it the other week.
And I hear your property.
I hear you real good. I hear you real good.
I can't hear you.
But you know, Cremac, now you throw in a next ingredient into the soup. You could make me wonder now, because Trinidad is a small country. You could make me wonder if the bank decide they ain't giving loan on that side of Piccadilly, on that side of the Dry River, because
They have connections, they have contracts, so they don't need to go to the bank.
no, not that they needed to go to the bank, but that the bank knew, the bank already know the scene that going to play off, so you know the bank just staying clear. I could wonder.
I have to go over this talk getting sticky later.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're speaking of.
I don't know, you know, I just talk in vague nebulous generalities here, you know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Could be.
Trinidad,
Could be, but I mean,
Trinidad is a scary country. You know, that's why when people talk about Nathan go and run for prime minister, man, you will be a good I say, you know, I feel like if I were to really become prime minister and I try to, you know, remain my honest self, I feel they will kill me within a week. Trinidad seems like a scary place up there. At that level,
I love Trinidad.
Like minds. You don't go up with that alone, you don't go up with people with like minds. So even if they replace you, it has some way to think of your man too.
Nah.
yeah, you had to go hard if you going at that, and you had to go real hard. Clean up from a side. And if it seems like our upper echelon in our security infrastructure talking about they need to make deals with the gangsters to stop it, that seems like they can't control the gangs if they wanted to. That's a scary position.
But Nathan, I ask you if you think that we should do what El Salvador did. Because I mean, I know people who were like, that was unconstitutional or whatever, but I mean, the crime rate dropped by 50%, which means that something made sense.
Of course it made sense. It's kind of obvious, you know, in society. The majority of society aren't the troublemakers, you know. The troublemakers are a minority. That's why the idea of prison works. If you could get the troublemakers in society, lock them away, society would become more peaceful. That's true. The problem is getting them and locking them away. And El Salvador kind of solved that problem overnight.
In Trinidad, not El Salvador, the lawyers who try to get them out here.
I don't think Trinidad is set up in the way for what happened in El Salvador to happen in Trinidad, even if we wanted it to. I don't think we're set up in that way. I just don't think we are. There's a privy council. So for one, El Salvador's highest court is a Supreme Court inside the country. So, so the president could have used his power, exert it over the Supreme Court, and now the highest court in the land cannot stop him from doing what he's doing. In Trinidad, if they go and just grab the whole of the number gangs and throw them, they build a big prison out in the middle in Rio Claro somewhere, and they go and grab all of these fellas and throw them in there. You're going to get cases pelting to the court system going straight up to the Privy Council. Our Prime Minister, our political directorate, they have no control over the Privy Council. And the Privy Council is going to tell them this is unconstitutional, Lego the people. That's part of the problem. So maybe if we want to do that, we get rid of the Privy Council, bring it to the CCG, get our Prime Minister to exert influence on the CCG, and then you could do things like that. But as it stands right now, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, but as it stands right now, we need to change that. No, but no, not only that. It have things that people can be locked up for that they aren't. Police supposed to be holding people for loitering, right? Is that true or false? Or that age out or something?
Here's the problem with that. Nearly all of our laws, especially when you're talking about big boys. If you're talking small man, you could hold a small man for loitering. You could hold him for nearly anything. It's inconsequential. But if you're talking about a big boy and you hold him for loitering, can that case stand up to the law lords in England for legality? Are you sure? If it cannot, you're going to end up paying the man money for holding him. And each time you hold him for something shaky, it makes it harder to hold him the next time. Because then he's going to sue you.
We're not talking about the big boys. We're not talking about the ones that you can't touch. Like, look at the ones on the ground, right? Then the big boys don't have anybody.
Krim, I cannot hear you, bro. You're a little far away. You're singing far away.
Make a scenario, Ronnie. Explain it to me. Make a scenario.
Yeah, that'll work.
The scenario.
For the loitering.
Okay, cool. So, again, listen. Come and call somebody from a police, right? And on my road here, it have a group of fellas that sit down on the road looking like they're trying to sell us. People have coconut and they have pumpkin and all kind of thing. I sure they have no license to sell them things, but you know that's not what they sell. Full stop. They blasting music on the road day and night. Loitering. That's loitering. Or at least they sell them illegally, at least. Charge them for that.
Charge them for what, sir? And I hear charge them for what?
They are on the road. They have no permit to sell whatever they sell, right? But we know whatever they look like they sell is not what they sell. They blasting music very loud day and night at the park.
Right before Krimak answer, just so you know, Ronnie, let's paint that scenario for you. A police jeep pull up. Two police jeep pull up. 8 police jump out. They start to hold them. They pull out phone. Watch. The poor ghetto youth now selling the coconut. Look, the coconut on the ground there. Watch. The man trying to make an honest living in this place. These dirty, wicked police and them. Watch the police. Watch him. What is his name? Show me your number. Watch, you're a little wicked. Watch the ghetto youth trying to make an honest living in the place.
Listen, you are stupid. I don't understand that. That's how it will go. I understand. But at the end of the day, that is not what they're doing. They're not making an honest living. They are stealing in something very illegal. And if they're using a cover that will make them look so innocent when the police come and get them, it is still against the law to be selling without permit, without a food badge or whatever. So charge them.
All right, Ronnie, hold up, I want to walk through the city, right? How much men is it like on the road? 8 men?
No, it's not 8 of them. It's 3 older men, and then it's have like 2 little boys coming and going. Yeah.
Ronnie, yeah, informant.
No,
Each person could have in their possession 30 grams of marijuana, correct? So police pull up, the jeeps and then pull up, jump out. Each person has 30 grams of marijuana on them. The weight, they will have 30 grams, under 30 grams. But that's what it is. But this thing is, all of them spy up, all of them have 4 packets, 5 packets, 6 packets, how much packets, all of that under 30 grams. They can't do them anything. They give them loitering, they kind of give it a satisfactory account of yourself. Right? Why it be there? The people that from the neighborhood.
Yes. Very likely, yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
So then, all right. What can we say? I live around the corner office, and I just like me and my partner who live in front of the house. Well, I show all of them living there, and all of them traveling in there.
Exactly.
So what do they do there? They give us a different account. I'm from the area.
Like Ronnie, you know I like to lick police out here, but I understand some of those things are very limited in how the police could even solve some of those things. You understand? In El Salvador, the solution didn't come from the police, you know. The police didn't all of a sudden decide to do this. It was the president had to make changes, and then the same police that were employed while the country had 1,500 to 2,500 murders, the same police enacting the new direction of the president decreased that to double digits numbers murders.
I don't know why, because as it was pointed out before, it is not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Exactly.
This is what is over the head. We can't prove that this one's selling drugs. We know that selling drugs, you know, but we can't prove it. So then what is the point? Let people do what they want to do. That make Canada and today a crime haven. Come and commit crime. No, there is no consequence. Because you can't prove nothing. So just come and kill someone. Bring your wife, the wife that you don't love, bring she here and kill she.
Hey, no, don't do that.
No, but the thing is, when you're saying there's a societal issue, because at the end of the day, on Charlotte Street, all those persons who selling on Charlotte Street is persons who not supposed to be selling. But the government bent backwards because you know why? When they was moving them, when they was moving them from the Charlotte Street and said no vending on Charlotte Street, everybody kick up and say, what do people go do? People don't eat. They're selling in the school. Okay, I think that the market there. These persons are bent backwards because they public outcry. So you can't bend backwards with some, and then they want to come to hand on others. It's a standard thing for everybody.
And I agree with the standard thing. I do not have a feeling hard for anybody. Move everybody up a challenge. Move everybody up where they're not supposed to be. Because at the end of the day, when you have provisions, you allow other people who have ulterior motives to come and set up shop wherever they feel, literally set up shop wherever they feel, and then doing whatever they're doing. Like, where I was going to
What the police do, right? Police lock up Ronnie, after the police lock up everybody, right? They lock up all the 8 of them and put them before the courts. The courts themselves go in and say, hey, what now? The police them excessive force and they abuse their authority and all this. The criminal justice in a whole mess. Because when the police do this, the courts have a problem with it. Then with the prisons have a problem with what the courts say. So everybody had to be on the same page.
With the fact that we are under the Privy Council, Ronnie, what we need to understand, the Privy Council is much more in the Western, liberal, soft, bleeding heart, human rights, and don't hurt to people's rights too much. We are under that Privy Council. Now, our laws are kind of based in the more cold hard, the law is the law, do the right thing kind of thing. But when we have those laws, but they're under a Privy Council court system. It's like our laws where we have laws saying hang people who kill people, but the Privy Council will never allow a person to be hung. We'd always be in that monkey pants. It's always going to end up in that kind of position. And with that, like that vending business, like my heart goes out to people hustling on the streets. I understand, and I understand the realities of difficulty. And you're all right, yes. But I've watched the same cycle happen over and over and over, where the hustlers on the road, the government sets up a place, puts them there, and okay, they create a market there for them, and then new people come on the road. And then the people who get placed in the market, the people who come on the road now, the customers buying from the people on the road. So in the market here don't have enough sales, they leave the market and go back to the road. Same thing happens over and over and over and over.
You make the place for them and go back on the road. That is all. You might have to make a real strong kind of situation. You might have to lock up somebody. You might have to discard somebody goods or whatever. But you need to make examples of these people if you want them to do the correct thing.
You go discarding people's goods, and you may end up having to pay for it after the court deals with you. Remember, I started it off by saying we are under that system. I remember a couple months ago. a municipal officer in Grandy. A market lady tried to make her go viral, insulting her because the municipal officer told her to clear the lane in the market. And then the market vendor used the fact that the municipal officer allowing hustlers to hustle against her, because how dare you allow hustlers to hustle and then try to get me to move out of the lane? So if you allow the hustlers to hustle, you can't stop me. It's a difficult position to be in, really and truly. And if you're talking about allowing things to work for the country, personally, I don't think making it be that only people who somehow get a license to sell goods should sell goods is a good thing. I don't actually think that's a good thing. I understand in cities you need to control where people sell, but I don't even necessarily think like licensing is the way to do some of these things. You are going to lock some people out of the industry.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, Nathan, but we have to do something about these people who just not doing the correct thing. You understand what I'm saying? Look at what's going on. For instance, in Tobago, we are starting to become a bit out of hand. And why is that? Because we start dabbling in drugs, right? Tobago is becoming out of hand because they're dealing in too much drugs. Everywhere you're going to Tobago, we have a drug lock now. Obviously, the crime rate going and go up. So what are they doing?
I agree with what you're saying, Ronnie, because, like, for instance, Port of Spain, these persons, when, like, snatchers and these things, it's a hub for crime. Because all these persons vending and things, they have a relationship with these snatchers. So that snatcher run and snatch. He run into this person, hit the person, and passed off. You understand? Drugs selling, they hide the drugs in all the boxes and all kind of madness going on. So I agree with what you're saying. So it's not just, as I say, crime is just not one fix. There's a lot of people encouraging it. So again, they come back to our environment and culture, as according to Nathan. So crime can't finish because if I is a vendor, and then if I come and say, hey, what now, you encouraging crime and you move them. God, I said, and it film. And everybody believes in because they do mankind and she chose herself and all that thing.
I tell Nelly I can't be a police and I cannot be a police. I just can't. You needed to be a police back in the 80s, Ronnie, when it didn't have so many cameras all about the place. In modern time, they will put you up. PCA now releasing, they're looking for more money. We have an increase in the amount of complaints coming in. Well, the people have to be comfortable when they're going to listen to the complaints, Crimac. They can't be driving in heat and a rough ride going to hear the complaints. And if every government official could have a Prado,
Watch your data, show how nasty these people are now. They said in 2021 they get 569 reports, complaints against police officers. Ask them how much of them had merit. How much? Ask them, they didn't say that though. They said they got 569. So I want to go and complain. A police will go and get my cat in the tree. That's a complaint. But is that complaint in merit?
I think they broke down.
There's destroy the image of the police.
They broke down how much they sent to the DPP and how much they sent to the commissioner, and it wasn't, the majority wasn't sent. The majority wasn't sent. What percentage of trainees have a postgraduate degree? Andre Jaboom, I don't know. I don't even think we have those statistics if you're looking for them. But I would actually say it might be a larger percent than you might think, because especially in the last decade or so with the freeing of gate, I know a lot of people around my era, a lot of us went back. It was easy. Straightforward. Let me not say easy. It was straightforward. So a lot of people went back. There are quite a few postgraduate degrees. Now, the problem I think with the postgraduate degree might be the similar problem with the bachelor's degree in the first place, the undergraduate degree, as in, what do you do it in, and is the area that you're doing this degree in actually something that is of benefit to you or the wider society in general? So that, I think, is more of the question, beside whether they just have the degree or not.
But Nathan and Crimac, I must ask, what would be the solution to this problem? Because I personally, I am not going to sit down and let nobody me can't walk in my street properly. You understand? What should I do? Because it is very uncomfortable walking there now. You're mad. I must move out. You see, there's the reason. This is the reason crime is right.
You better dead, like I've never seen. You better dead and right. Be dead and even other. Be dead and right, or wrong and alive. Where are they?
Listen, I would like to be right and alive, right? So my thing is, if we have really and truly against crime and this in a very serious manner, we need to do something. You understand? We cannot just talk about, well, we can't do anything. Can't do anything because, you know, we can't do whatever. You know what the police will do? The police will wait. Just now, the police will wait until these people and them start to bring guns and start to terrorize the community and then go and shoot them up. That is what the police will wait to do. I personally, I would prefer not for that to happen. You understand? But
you keep the police, isn't it?
That's what it is do. I mean, listen, plenty of them crying. I don't know plenty times. The police and them that know they have the right manner, but they can't prove. They can't prove it. And then all of a sudden, the person is dead. That's what I'm saying. Whether it's in a train station or some unmarked vehicle pull up on the side of the road.
I mean, know what you're talking about there, Ronnie. I don't know what you're talking about there.
Used to claim the murder. But I never killed nobody from sticks. And I never killed nobody from Muslim. You understand? If we gang to come up and say, if they get them I extra come. And I don't claim the murders. Anonymously. Six was responsible for the killing of whoever. It's in between some of the murders.
So you feel in between somebody gang related is police dealing with some?
Yeah, man, definitely. Pull up in a black car, all black.
I always say I think most of the solutions are cultural, and I also think even on the police side, I saw someone said it there about community leadership, like what they were talking about in Tunapuna. I think that's kind of the direction that many communities need, where the police in the community and the leadership of the community, you know, you have to have some structure inside of your community in the first place. So there should be someone in the community that could have an interaction, have a communication with the police, so that the police could come and find out, okay, these guys are loitering because the community says that they don't want this group of 10 men on the corner here. So the police come and say, what you all doing here? We know this community says you all should not be here. If there's a relationship between the community and the men, then now, if the police come to move the men, there needn't be the cameras screaming all too wicked. There might be cameras recording, look, good, you know, long the police supposed to move all pests, all too sickening. Yes, well done, officer. That's the kind of talk you get if you have the relationship side of it. So I think that's more the direction we need to head in. That's why when I see police doing things that harm the relationship that they should be building with the community, it really hurts me, because I think that's where the solution is in Trinidad, that and giving more people legal weapons.
Yeah, man, for sure. Even though I don't know.
What is there is all good and well, but that is not how it is set up. It is not so, because the fear of crime grip the whole nation. So as you say, the minorities is the bad apples now. They have a small group of persons that do know the wrong thing. But the fear of crime is what grip people. So you think anybody coming out, even if they're glad that the police lock them, these men and them money or located, you think anyone coming out to flame and say, hey, they're very good, but in favor of the police? No. They go to shoot, because some of them would stand up right there and say,
happy.
Get rid of them. But they cannot show that.
Well,
real.
you know, Kermac, that is a scary thing, and maybe you see where we could reach to a changing over is when at least that level of fear could subside. That's kind of, and to be honest, I think that level of fear is there because there's a sentiment in a lot of the people that the police are corrupt too. I think that's why that fear is there a lot. Not just because of the criminals, but they feel like the people who are supposed to protect me might not all be on my side. And that feeling. Anyway, it's 11:39. We're looking to head in for our close. Ronnie, what's your closing statement there, homie?
Well, tonight was interesting. I'm going to try to go to my before I sleep.
Yeah, he's sleepy. He start working.
Oh, that's nice. But in my opinion, I don't know. Probably we need to do some kind of reconciliation with the community and policing because honestly, as I said before, I live in a real peaceful community, right? And I think it's starting to become a bit on edge. Everybody kind of like looking around because like I see to be able to start to get a little weird and see. And I personally would love for the police to nip certain things in the bud because only reason people will be like, yeah, the police doing the wrong thing or whatever is because the people in the community, bad people in the community were there so long. They have their roots so deep in the community. This is why. But if you pull out that plan before you get a chance to root properly, people will be glad either way. If you understand what I'm saying. But anyway, it was an interesting night, interesting discussion, this Andrew person. I do understand this man get right by a response. I don't know why it's who agreed on this man tonight. But on it.
Yeah, Kermac, anything to say on the closing there, bro?
I just think crime is everybody's business. And you see the fear of crime, if we allow it to grip us, the criminal elements will win the battle. You need to work together. Only corrupt police and things have a small percentage out of 100. If it is 10%, that's plenty. If you know what I'm saying, we don't put aside that pettiness, we want to give it back our recognition. We need to stand up together. The police can't do it alone. You understand? The prisons can't do it alone. It need a soft and a harsh approach. So the soft approach is for the juveniles who are under 25, 24. Right? So I'm just taking people from 18 to 24 because the mind still can be impressed upon. But it needs a harsh approach also. And people, the citizens of Trinidad, we need to allow the police officers to do the job. Because it is not innocent people, when they be dealt with harshly, it's not innocent persons. It's person in long rap sheet have certain communities under how do you say it, duress.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't always watch it from your perspective. You gotta watch it, hey, this person, and you know, it's not innocent persons. If it's not innocent person, then alright, it's sad, but wrong place at the wrong time. Because at some point in time, you have innocent person might be in a car. One person do the wrong shooting, or the officer don't know who they shooting at. So any day it's supposed to be a two-fold approach, soft and harsh. And then you can get it back. And we cannot do it. Police officers cannot do it without the assistance with the community. And you need to stand up together. So you can't want us to help you and you're not helping yourself. And you understand, there's plenty of things that one day you might have a talking camera for you to understand the whole picture. But really, we can't do this alone. Nobody, no police station, no district can do it alone without the assistance of the community. And that's the truth. We all need to stand together. And forget what yes, it might be fair for a little while, but I want to think things that get worse before it get better. So they stand up and they say this man doing this and this, but after a while they realize the community stand up against them. They go back in the crease.
Yeah. Word up. All right, people, this has been the Mindful Live Show. I am Nathan Springer, and I will see you guys again for the next Mindful Live Show, which will be tomorrow, Friday, starting around that 9 p.m. time. So until then, I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. Hey, Nisi, someone was asking about your sign here, Gil. Yeah, I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. I'll see you guys again for the next Mindful Live Show. Until then, be well. Peace. I'm out. Bye.